The top 7 fastest and cheapest ways to immigrate to Canada. The easiest ways into Canada aren't really accessible to most people. You have to be rich, skilled, or some kind of artist. These are the easiest ways to come to Canada if you qualify. Business or investor immigration programs, where immigrants essentially buy their permanent residence by creating or investing in a business and creating jobs. The federal program is on hold right now. Most of the provinces still provide this option. The skilled worker and skilled trade programs, which are open to a select few people. The skilled trades program only allows 3,000 people a year. The skilled worker program is only open to a few select professionals, requiring a lot of education and experience, or for other people with education and experience who already have job offers. Also, if you have a PhD, you may qualify as a skilled worker. Finally, there are select professions which do not require visas to enter Canada to work, and a special permanent residence category for some of these self-employed people, such as artists. While most people who want to come to Canada aren't rich or artists, and most others don't have the education and or work experience. So how does the average person immigrate to Canada? Most of these options are for temporary residence in Canada, but each can be turned into permanent residence and eventually citizenship, if you meet the requirements. 7. Trade agreements. In addition to the most well-known trade agreement, NAFTA, Canada has other trade agreements that allow for certain immigration exemptions. The only problem is these agreements are only open to citizens from the following countries: Chile, Colombia, Costa Rica, Iceland, Israel, Jordan, Liechtenstein, Mexico, Norway, Panama, Peru, Switzerland, United States of America. If you are a national of one of these countries and you work for a company that either has a Canadian operation or has a contract with a Canadian company, you may be able to work in Canada without a labour market opinion. These agreements allow for you to work for your company or their subsidiary, branch, affiliate or parent company in Canada, in what's called an intra-company transfer. This list will increase in the future as Canada has many free trade agreements in the works, but at the moment only these nationals of these countries are eligible for the so-called NAFTA visa. If you're here long enough, you may be able to use your Canadian work experience to apply for permanent residence through the Canadian Experience Class, CEC, or through a provincial nominee program. 6. Work permit with job offer. If you're semi-skilled or skilled, university educated, for most people the simplest way to come to Canada is to get a work permit. There are 2 problems. First, you have to convince a Canadian employer to give you a job over a Canadian citizen or permanent resident. Second, your employer has to convince Human Resources and Development Canada that they must hire a foreign worker, as no Canadian can do that job. A labour market opinion. So what seems like an easy process is made complicated. Add to that the problem of applying for a job from overseas, and it seems impossible. If you have any connections in Canada, that's the best way. Contact them and see if they know anyone who's hiring, or see option number 1 below. Your work experience can lead to permanent residence through one of the programs below. The CEC, the Federal Skilled Worker or Trade Programs, if you qualify, or through the Province Skilled Worker and Semi-Skilled Worker Programs. Learn about NOC codes and how they relate to job offers in Canada. 5. Spousal sponsorship. Psst! Don't tell anyone, but having a Canadian spouse or partner is one of the easiest ways into the country. Citizenship and Immigration Canada is cracking down on marriage fraud. when two people legalize a sham marriage in order to get the foreign spouse permanent residence and citizenship. So you better make sure your relationship is real. There's now a 2-year period where CIC will check up on you after you're approved. Learn more about spousal sponsorship, inland versus overseas sponsorship, common mistakes on sponsorship applications, same-sex sponsorship, sponsorship application appeals. 4. International Experience Canada, IEC, aka Working Holiday. If you're from a select group of countries, this program's for you. If you're between the ages of 18 and 35, you can come to Canada on an open work permit, which means you don't need a job offer. With some countries, eligibility stops at age 29 or 30. Participating countries: Australia, Austria, Belgium, Chile, Costa Rica, Croatia, Czech Republic, Denmark, Estonia, France, Germany, Hong Kong, Ireland, Italy, Japan, South Korea, Latvia, Lithuania, Mexico, Netherlands, New Zealand, Norway, Poland, Slovakia, Slovenia, Spain, Sweden, Switzerland, Taiwan, Ukraine, United Kingdom. There are 3 types of IEC programs. Working Holiday, open to most nationals of the above countries aged 18 to 35, provided you meet the requirements. Young Professionals, you need a university degree and a job offer. Co-op, must be a student at a post-secondary institution in your home country in an eligible program. To see how many spaces are available for 2014, click here. Your work experience under the Working Holiday or Young Professional programs can be used towards obtaining a permanent residence through one of the following programs: the CEC, the Federal Skilled Worker of Trades programs, if you qualify, or through the province's skilled worker and semi-skilled worker programs. Co-op experience cannot be used towards CEC. 3. Live-in caregiver. The easiest career-specific route into Canada for anyone who isn't a skilled worker is the Live-in Caregiver program. With only a high school education, a job offer, and either a 6 months training or 1-year caregiver experience, you could get a work permit. There are numerous agencies that specialize in matching employers with potential foreign caregivers, so it's much easier to find an employer than it is for other jobs. Canada currently has a special permanent residence stream for those who have participated in this program as well. 2. Study permit. If you or your parents can afford it, there's no better way to come to Canada than through studying at a Canadian university or college. Canada offers numerous programs, and a few Canadian universities are considered among the best in the world. Colleges which offer more practical education are another option. Click here for a full list of Canadian universities. Click here for a full list of Canadian colleges. The best part, the Canadian provinces offer permanent residence streams for graduate of post-secondary institutions. But make sure when you're choosing your university you research the provincial nominee program for your university's province to see what it takes to get a permanent residence. It usually takes a job offer after graduation and a commitment to remain in the province at the very least. It's also important to remember that whatever work you do while a student will not count towards any work experience immigration streams. So if you get a student work permit to support yourself, keep that in mind. 1. Visitor visa. If the only way you can come to Canada is with a job offer and a work permit, the easiest way to come to Canada is to get a visitor visa, if you need one, and to look for a job while you're here. You cannot work in Canada using your visitor visa, but you can communicate with potential employers about future work. You should know that you will need another reason to visit Canada, as it's unlikely that a border officer will be willing to let you into the country if you say you're coming to look for work. But don't lie. Lying will only make you inadmissible, which means you will not be allowed in. Rather, you should plan an actual holiday to Canada to see this beautiful country, and while here, see if you can make a few connections. Once you've returned home, you can start the work permit process.